Hello all, this is Jubish here. So today we are going to discuss about dependency injection. So you might have heard about dependency injection and maybe inversion of control or dependency inversion principle in solid principles. So everything is related to each other, and I'll tell you about what is dependency injection using a pictorial representation and a small example. Okay, so let's jump into the pictorial representation. Okay, so see a small example I would explain here. That is, if you say organization, right? Like you have an organization class which represents your organization, right? And there are some events happening in that organization. For example, like technical events are happening. See? So if only technical events are happening, what you will do, you will create directly an instance of this particular technical events class inside this organization, right? So you will instantiate a technical event class inside the organization. So what happens, it will create a dependency between these two. So what happens is, like, this creates a tightly coupled dependency. So what happens when we increase the number of events in future? So you have to actually change this organization each time when you add more events, right? Add more event classes. You have to instantiate each of these instances. You have to instantiate here, right? So what happens here is, like, this directly violates the open and close principle. Open for open for extension and close for modification, right? So also dependency inversion principle in solid design principles says high level classes, which is organization, should not depend on lower level classes, which is technical events, and also vice versa, right? It should both depend on an abstraction. So we will make it clear, right? So what happens, this will become very difficult to maintain in future when you add more events classes. Each time you need to update the organization class, and also if you try to update these technical events class, you have to inform the organization class that this has been updated, and same kind of updation has to be made in the organization class as well. So how to solve this? This can be solved using dependency injection, like this. So you might have already understood how we are solving this, correct? So organization is the class, then we make an interface called iEvents, and this interface can be implemented by each and every events classes. Technical events class can implement this iEvent. iEvent will be having a function which will be um, common to all events, right? Like maybe like load events or something. I'll create something similar to that in the example. So what happens here is, like, you can add more events when it comes, when your project becomes more, or when you want more events to be added to this organization, you can add it under this iEvents. Your organization need to be changed. It will never change, right? Because it will stays the same. It will use the iEvent, and iEvent will be injected to the organization class as a dependency injection. Okay. So let's jump into the program. I'll create the organization class here. Okay, so this is our organization class. Usually what the problem I would first say, usually what the problem is, in this organization class, we declare a private instance which is of, maybe I'll create one more event class, maybe technical events. That I'll also add sport events. Right, so I've added two events, right? How will I actually get the events here in the organization? I have to create the instance of technical events, right? And maybe the name of this event is events equals, initially I'll declare it as null in C#. We should do this, and then the organization constructor I'll be writing here. Inside the constructor or anywhere in the class, what we'll do, we'll instantiate the events. So this is the problem, right? This creates the tightly coupled classes with the dependencies between these two classes. So how we can resolve this using dependency injection? So that I'll directly show you. What I can do, I can use an interface. I'll directly create an event interface. Okay, I missed to give the name. Event interface, right? So this is created. What should I do? I will write a public function, like maybe I will just write load events, and I can use this technical events to implement that events. Okay. So once you implement, you have to implement the interface here, right? And here as well. Okay, that will come into that. So what we can do here, I can change this to events. Then what I can do, events. What I'm going to do here is I can directly do this without instantiation, right? So I'm injecting the dependency here inside the organization class, right? So when I increase, when I add one more event, what shall I do? I just need to implement this interface, right? Problem solved. And when we are planning to declare this organization, okay, we can actually say new, here I am injecting this dependency, right? And if I am adding sport events, I can inject that dependency here. Or sport. Okay, let it be organization. It's an organization itself. Yeah, this is just for showing, right? So here we need to put the parentheses, that's right, that is showing. Otherwise, this is how you inject the dependency. So thanks guys. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'll try to answer. Thank you.